All right, welcome back to the channel, everyone. I've been meaning to cover this for quite a while here. There's a lot of players I still need to cover, so I got to remember to do this once in a while. This is the Big O, Oscar Robertson, and this video is titled "The Most Disrespected Point Guard," and this is by Basketball Universe, and we all seem to like this content from Basketball Universe. The only downfall is the video quality is never like great, but the knowledge, the stats, the information, and everything else going on in these videos is like A++. So anyways, as always, I'm gonna link this video or I'm gonna put the video link down below in the description if you want to watch it without my commentary. But if you want to watch it with my commentary, all I ask is you leave the video a like. It really helps me out. I'd really appreciate it. And yeah, let's get into it. Let's learn about the Big O. The original triple-double machine. Before there was Westbrook, there was the Big O, and honestly, I think the Big O did it way more successfully. So let's see if our opinions change or if my opinion changes by the end of this. All right, here we go.
At number 4, Oscar Robertson, who I never saw play, but in his day, not only was it the 30-point triple-double.
Give us your top 5 point guards.
Steph Curry, Magic Johnson, Isaiah Thomas, John Stockton, Jay Kidd.
Can we get a top 5 all-time PGs list?
Is it Magic, Steph, Zeke?
Gotta bring up Steve Nash.
2 MVPs.
We gotta bring up John Stockton.
See?
We gotta bring
Diversity.
up Jason Kidd.
I cannot explain why this legend continues to be completely ignored when discussing the greatest point guards.
First of all, a lot of us didn't get to watch him play. I think that's a big part of the problem. It's kind of like Will Chamberlain. This era, sadly, a lot of fantastic players get forgotten because there's just not enough video footage. But let's see what he found.
But once you hear his case, you'll understand why he's the most influential and revered player in NBA history. Let's start with his extensive resume. He's a champion. He's an MVP winner. He's one of 8 point guards to win the most prestigious individual award in basketball. He also had 4 other top 3 finishes in MVP voting. Just for comparison,
Wait a second.
4 other top 3 most prestigious individual award in basketball. He's one of 8 point guards to win
one of 8 point guards to ever win the MVP.
He's a champion. He's an MVP winner. He's one of 8 point guards to win the
Wow. That's a surprising stat for me. I did not know that. Props to Steve Nash, man. And I guess to Russ, because he pulled it off too.
Prestigious individual award in basketball. He also had 4 other top 3 finishes in MVP voting.
Nice.
Just for comparison, Isaiah Thomas never finished in the top 3. He is 14th all-time in career points, and he's number 1 among all point guards. He's 3rd all-time in career assists per game. He's 8th in career assist. He's 2nd all-time in career triple-doubles. He has the 2nd most career rebounds among point guards, and he ranks 4th all-time in offensive win shares, and he's 1st among point guards in that category. The accolades speak for themselves. He's one of the most accomplished players in league history. But what seems to get overlooked even more so is the way he revolutionized the point guard position. Let's not forget that he was somebody who played in the same era as Bob Cousy. During that time, he was known as the game's greatest passer. He led the league in assists for 8 years in a row. But once Oscar Robertson made his NBA debut, he would never take that crown again.
You know, it's funny. Back when I was a kid, I was born in the 80s. Magic was the up and comer that we all had our eyes on. Like, this might be the greatest point guard of all time. But we all, even though we didn't get to watch a lot of footage, we all hands down said the Big O was the best of all time as far as point guards go. Like, we had, they did like anniversary basketball cards, like hoops cards. So we got to see his stats, and it was just one of those things, like, we all just kind of passed the cards around and we're like, yeah, this is the guy. The Big O is the guy. But yeah, this generation, it seems like he's gotten forgotten. And hell, man, a lot of people are even starting to forget Magic Johnson. It's a shame because there's a ton of footage on him to back it up.
In only his rookie season, he averaged 9.7 assists per game.
Nice.
As great as Kuzi was, he was never able to average that many assists in a season. But that's not all. During that time, there was no other player who could average over 25 points per game while shooting over 45% from the field.
Damn.
The only exception was Wilt Chamberlain. Oscar's efficiency was up there with the 7-foot giant. There were 4 times where he finished in the top 4 in field goal percentage, and each time he averaged over 28 points.
Wow.
Do you know what else was unheard of? A point guard being one of the team's top rebounders, and he averaged double-digit rebounds for 3 straight seasons. The only other point guard to average over 10 rebounds per game is Russell Westbrook. He was the inventor of the term all-around player.
Yeah.
Do you know how many players before he arrived averaged at least 25 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists for a season? The answer is 0. But for his first 5 seasons, he averaged a combined 30.3 points, 10.6 assists, and 10.4 rebounds per game.
Shoot.
That's how incredible he was at his peak. Speaking of which, let's take a look at what he accomplished during his prime years. As you all know very well, he became the first player to average a triple-double for an entire season.
Yeah.
This occurred in his legendary 1962 campaign. He also averaged over 30 points per game 6 times. Only Michael Jordan and Wilt Chamberlain have had more seasons of averaging over 30 points.
Dude. It's even better than I remembered. Jesus. Did he play defense too? Like, I'm looking for a weakness at this point because he's doing everything on the offensive end, plus rebounds. Knowing him, I'd assume he was a good defender as well because, yeah, shoot, all around, Mr. All Around.
In 1965, he recorded 11.5 assists per game. That was the highest average ever until 1979 when Kevin Porter surpassed it. In 1964, he had one of the most legendary MVP seasons. He earned 20.6 win shares, which is the most by any point guard for a single season. If we include all players, it's the 10th highest. That gives us an idea of how valuable he was for the Cincinnati Royals during his tenure there. They were the best offensive team for years, and it was all thanks to the Big O. For 5 straight seasons, they led the league in offensive rating. What he accomplished was nothing short of legendary. You can take it from me or from all the players who recognize his greatness. Let's listen to some of the most notable examples.
Who did Jordan tell you is the greatest player ever?
He would say Oscar Robertson.
Nice.
Okay.
And to see Jerry West talk about Oscar Robertson, and I never forget, he moved up and he was like, look, I know I'm the logo and everything else. He said, but in my era, there was no better basketball player than Oscar Robertson.
Amen.
I mean, coming from Michael Jordan and now Jerry West, like, yeah, listen to the greats. Listen to the greats. Especially back then when they didn't have podcasts and they actually told the truth.
I look back in my career, he's the greatest player I ever played against, period.
He averaged a triple-double for a whole season. I can never compare it to that. I really found out how good Oscar Robertson was when I was trying to accomplish the same feats as him.
There was
Nice.
no denying how dominant of a player he was. The only thing he was missing was a championship. During the 60s, he never reached the finals, let alone win a title. There are 2 reasons to blame for that. For one, he played in the same conference with the Boston Celtics.
Yeah.
They won 9 titles during that decade. The only time they failed to reach the finals was in 1967. They lost to Wilt Chamberlain and the Philadelphia 76ers. For a team to have any hope of beating them in a playoff series, you needed to have a dominant big man. That was something the Royals never had. They also failed to surround Oscar with a strong team. He never got the luxury to play alongside all-time great talent as Bill Russell, Wilt Chamberlain, Jerry West, and Elgin Baylor did
Yeah.
during that decade. But that all changed when he joined forces with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in the 1970 offseason.
Yep, and yeah, this is the difference maker right here.
In their very first year together, they pushed the Milwaukee Bucks to statistically the most dominant season in league history.
It's crazy.
They posted the highest simple rating system and the second highest margin of victory ever. That also included winning 66 games. A lot of their success was due to the dominance of Kareem. But let's not overlook Oscar's contributions. Milwaukee would have never reached his full potential if Oscar wasn't willing to take a back seat to the second-year player, and he proved that he was more than accommodating. He decreased his scoring production, and he focused more on facilitating for others. Nobody benefited more than Kareem. In the previous season, he averaged 28.8 points on 52% shooting.
Man, just think about Kareem here. You go from Oscar Robertson being your PG to Magic Johnson being your PG. Yeah, he had it pretty good. He had it pretty good. Yeah, man. He always had a good facilitator looking to pass to him first, because neither of those guys were selfish.
For this season, he averaged 31.7 points on 58% shooting.
58.
That is a significant jump in the points.
16 rebounds, 3 assists. Man, 31 and 16, that's like prime Shaq numbers, but even better field goal percentage.
On 58% shooting.
Damn.
That is a significant jump in efficiency, and you can bet that the playmaking ability of Robertson played a big role in that. In the finals against the Baltimore Bullets, he averaged 23.5 points on 52% shooting, 9.5 assists, and 5 rebounds per game. Those are impressive numbers that we shouldn't take lightly. For example, do you know who else has averaged at least 23 points and 9 assists in the final series?
Wow. Magic Johnson.
Those players were Magic Johnson, Steph Curry, LeBron James, Larry Bird, and believe it or not...
Okay. I know there's some young people who don't know that Larry Bird was a passer. Let this sink in then. I know he was one of the greatest passers of all time. I fight it all the time with people. I didn't expect him to be on this list, so he even surpassed my expectations. Yeah, a lot of young people just think he's just a shooter. No. Hell of a defender, hell of a rebounder, and one of the greatest passers I've ever seen. So, yeah, this is cool.
Steph Curry, LeBron James,
Stat pattern.
Larry Bird, and believe it or not, Jimmy Butler.
Jimmy Butler? Tobias Harris over me?
That's the list. Who were the other 2 point guards to do it? Magic Johnson and Steph Curry.
Nice.
That is not a coincidence. They are the only 2 point guards who should be ranked ahead of them. No one else has a better case.
Yeah.
It's time to put some respect on his name. Now it's time for you all to weigh in. Do you have Oscar Robertson in your top 3 greatest point guards list? Why do you think he has become so overlooked? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching.
Yeah. Another banger, man. Another banger from Basketball Universe here. And he's right. He's right. I lost this from my childhood where I started thinking that maybe it wasn't real. Like the Big O wasn't real because the footage isn't there to back it up. It's not easily accessible. Like anytime I wonder, like, was Michael Jordan really that freaking great? Like, am I exaggerating? I go back and watch games, like full games, and by halftime, I'm like, oh shit, man, he was even better than I remember. So the Big O, that's where his legacy suffers, is just the era that he played in. Because we don't get that high definition video quality, to show our friends and make little TikTok videos or whatever that the young people are getting their sports from these days. But yeah, Big O, you're back on my top 3, man. My bad. But to see Steph there, like, that's a distinct number 2 position that he has at point guard under Magic. Because I've been kind of arguing that he might be the second best of all time when it comes to point guards, but I guess the stats support it too. So Magic 1, Steph 2, Oscar 3. And that's only because of rings. If it wasn't for rings, then I think we'd have to have Oscar 1. Anyways, what do you guys think? What do you guys think? Was he on your top 3? Is he on your top 3 now? And what do you think about that top 3 based on stats and rings as Magic, Steph, and the Big O? And yeah, if you grew up during my era, do you remember how we talked about the Big O? Like, we celebrated all the greats back then. We talked a lot about Wilt Chamberlain, Bill Russell, Kareem, obviously, he was still active. But we talked about Pete Maravich a lot. I got to do a video on him. The Big O and, you know, Elgin Baylor and all these other greats that a lot of people, they're just not remembered anymore. All right, everybody. Hope you enjoyed it. Leave the video a like if you did. Subscribe to the channel if you want more. I'll see you all in the next one. And peace out.